everybody, Dan Schinder here at the NAMM Show 2016. How'd that happen? And I'm here with Steve Smith. How are you, Steve?
I'm good.
Good, it's great to see you again.
Good to be here. Just getting here first thing on Thursday morning.
Yeah, first interview of the day. And the first thing I want to ask you about is, what's up with this Journey thing you're involved with? You're taking a new backup band out on the road or something?
Well put. No. They've been asking me to do some touring for quite a few years, and with situations changing in the group, the drum chair influx, last June we worked it out that I would come on and do a 2-year stint with the group. So, so I'm making a 2-year commitment to tour and do whatever work they have for the next 2 years.
That's awesome. Obviously being somewhat familiar with the material helped, right?
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because I haven't listened to the music literally for 30 years.
I was going to ask you that. Did you pull out old records and CDs?
I had to
school yourself again?
Well, yes, and I actually have written charts for every song, because I really don't remember what I played on those tunes, and I never really looked at them that close, meaning I never wrote them down and really looked at exactly what I played, because when we were recording those records and doing those tours, we'd spend like 3 to 4 weeks writing an album, and so the process of learning the tune was happening in the moment, and we were writing the tune and learning the tune in real time. So I never had to really write charts in the late 70s, early 80s. But now, 30 years later, to relearn the songs, what I've been doing is my natural process when somebody hires me to play a gig. I write a chart if there isn't already one in existence. So I write a chart for each song, and then I can really look at what the groove, what the beat I played, and maybe what the fills I played and whatever. So at this point, I'm writing charts and relearning and memorizing the tunes.
I think a lot of music fans take that for granted, because if they're a fan of Journey, let's say, they're listening to the music over and over in their car, at home, at work, on their jog, for years and years and years. But if you as the artist haven't listened to the music, which is totally reasonable, you don't know the music as well as they do, because they're hearing it all the time. So I think a lot of people, it's like, hey, what'd you have for breakfast last November 3rd?
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you that.
But
yeah, you're right. I don't listen to the music, and generally when I make a record, well, with the Journey records it was different, but let's say I just played on Neal Schon's latest solo record, and the day after I play on a song, I forget it, because we're in the studio, we're writing, recording, we're playing songs quickly, we're in the creative process, but by the next day I don't remember what I played the day before. So now we're going to go on a tour. We're doing a Japan tour in February.
Oh, that's great.
I'm doing the same process, and I'm learning something in the neighborhood of 16 songs, and so I have to write them all out, and then I play them a bunch and memorize them, because I don't want to be reading on the gig. But that's another, once I make a record, I usually never listen to it.
Really?
Yeah, because then I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to the next. My own Vital Information records, I'll make a record, but then I'll learn the music, because we'll go on tour. Yeah, and we'll go on tour and play. So
how would you, for those not familiar with Neal's solo music, how would you describe it?
Well, this new album is called Vortex. It's instrumental. It's very heavy rock instrumental. Some tempos are like very open and slow, like Pink Floyd-ish. Other things are real up-tempo, high energy, like fusion rock. In fact, Jan Hammer plays on some of the record.
Wow.
And we get into like, okay, maybe for a comparison, like something like Jeff Beck instrumental, but even a little bit heavier at times. So it's an interesting kind of mix of fusion rock progressive kind of playing. And then I know we're also going to be just playing some like blues and, you know, some more straightforward things when we do this tour of Japan, and we'll probably make a live album while we're there as well.
That sounds really exciting. One quick more Journey question, and then I want to move on to something else. In this 2-year commitment, is it all touring, or might you be recording with them?
Well, nobody's talked about recording anything.
You want me to make a call, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll probably do some kind of DVD during the process, but and maybe we'll do a recording. I don't know. No, we haven't talked about that at this point. The year is really busy with touring. We're going to actually be touring in the process of like over the course of 5 months, from April through early September. So it's pretty daunting, the amount of gigs that we're going to be playing in that time.
You've been rehearsing with them, right?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Okay, then I'll ask the question a different way. Do you expect that you and Ross will lock in again like riding a bike, or is it kind of like relearning each other's playing again, even though it's the same music?
I think there's going to be a relearning process, because I'm a different musician than I was. The last time I played with him was in 1997, but we weren't touring and we weren't playing the classic material. We were making an album called Trial by Fire. That was easy. That felt like effortless to get back together with that group, and that was with Steve Perry and Ross and Neal and Jonathan. Now they've had close to 20 years of playing with Dean Castronovo. So that's like, and now with Arnell singing, I'm sure they've created a new space with that lineup. And so for me to come in, there's going to have to be some kind of adjustment, I would think, to how I feel the time and how I play the time, and then it maybe will take place in one day, but at one point we had a very tight groove and connection, but also, like I said, I'm a very different player now, and so that's got to be taken into account too.
Right.
So we'll see, but I don't foresee that it's going to be anything but pretty easy, and it's going to be fun, because I have been playing with Neal a lot. But when I play with Neal, it's generally just the two of us, him and I, but we hook up, and we've always kept that creative chemistry going over the years, because I've been playing on his solo records over the last 20 years.
Yeah, and it's funny you mention that, because again, I think one of the things other music fans might take for granted is when we passed on the news that you were going to be touring with Journey, we saw a lot of comments on our Facebook page, people saying, ooh, do they realize how jazzy his playing's gotten? Like you guys are totally out of touch with each other, or they're totally blocked off from anything you would do. It was just really strange. But you've been working on and off with Neal for a while, right?
Yeah, like I said, at least over the last 20 years. Yeah. And yeah, my playing has, the jazz side of my playing was always there. I was a jazz drummer before I played in Journey. So the thing is, I'm good at changing direction, and I mean, the only way I can say it is like an actor that is capable of playing a variety of roles, and I can just alter my conception and channel my playing so it is totally appropriate for what the music is.
Right. And speaking of that, let's talk about your new book and DVD on match grip. And I'm a match grip player. I've only recently started to revisit traditional grip, and it's been an interesting journey already. But having played over 45 years, I'm more of a match grip player, so I'm real interested to hear about this project.
Yeah, well, it's something that developed naturally for me, and about 4 years ago, I started to develop a little bit of a problem right here, and it's called the CMC joint at the base of my thumb. And it's from so many years of traditional grip playing. And I love playing traditional grip, and I have like a good, like a lot of technique with the traditional grip. Right. But I needed to give myself a break during a course of a gig. And so I started playing match grip, which felt awkward to me. So what I decided to do is really take match grip seriously and investigate what makes it work. And so to do that, I used my right hand to teach my left hand. Oh. So I really analyzed like the real details of all the motions of the right hand and exactly how the hand opened and closed, and the motions from the elbow, the shoulder to the elbow, the forearm, the wrist, the fingers, all of it, and just had and started with mirror imaging myself, playing things in complete unison in front of the mirror, and then slowly started to develop some pretty decent technique with the left hand. And I realized match grip isn't as simple as just match grip like people think. It's like you hold the six like this. Right. I, in fact, came up with 4 distinct styles or versions of match grip that I use, and that's what this book and DVD is about. It's about like explaining the 4 different approaches of match grip, like German grip, overhand like that, right. Hands open, French grip, and a grip like this, like I call the Tony Williams grip, where you're holding it just with the back fingers mainly, and then to the French, and all this gray area in between. Yeah. So, and then why you'd want to use one and why you'd want to use another, why you might want to use symmetrical match grip versus asymmetrical match grip, like one hand in one position, another in another.
I find myself playing
people
exactly
do that,
like
but they haven't really analyzed it and figured out why and what that does, because traditional grip is an asymmetrical grip, right. And it's got advantages to it. Yeah. So anyway, so with Hudson Music, we did it. It's a 2-hour DVD.
When does it come out?
February 9th is the release date. And so yeah, it's a 100+ page book and DVD that really gets into a lot of detail about this approach that I've been using, and I'm using the material out of my own book to improve my match.
That's great.
Technique. So what I'm doing now is I play a combination of match grip, traditional grip, and open-handed. I'm starting to do a little more open-handed playing. When I was touring with Hiromi, filling in for Simon Phillips over the last 3 years, I had to learn a lot of his parts, which I went through the process of transcribing and learning exactly what he played. And a lot of what he played, of course, he plays open-handed, so I couldn't play the parts unless I played open-handed. So I started to add that in certain tunes. Like you probably know, most people probably know, like when I played Don't Stop Believin', I played it open-handed. So I've been playing around with that for a long, long time. But now I'm taking it to the next step.
Well, that's awesome. There's a great learning tool for you from a very versatile player to help your versatility, which I think is one of the most important things drummers can learn, is versatility and technique, but also different genres and styles of music and everything.
Yeah, different techniques like suggest different sounds and feels. So there's not like a one technique that I feel fits every kind of genre. So it's called Pathways of Motion. The book is called Pathways of Motion, 4 versions of match grip.
Nice. Tell us about your new album coming out.
Well, I have an album. It's an organ trio album that comes out April 1st in the USA, and it's with Vinnie Valentino, who's my Vital Information guitar player, and Tony Monaco, a fantastic Hammond B3 player. And so the album's called Groove Blue, and it's a very sort of chilled out 60s Blue Note kind of Grant Green inspired.
That sounds cool.
And just before that, I've been doing this art project where I have an art project where I play with lighted sticks. I use the Vic Firth lighted sticks and played in a room, and people use time-lapse photography, and then we put the art on canvas.
Oh, great.
And I have an art show coming up in New York City right before that, right in the middle of March into early April. So just come to my website for details on that, vitalinformation.com, and you can get the details.
Right here on the screen, right here.
There you go.
Great. Steve, thanks for taking time out. I'm happy to hear that you're so busy. Since you're a Sonor guy, and you have been for so long, yeah, this is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I know this is such a matrix of answers, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. What advice would you give drummers on how to pick out a kit to suit their sound?
Oh, well, that's a good question. It takes, that'd be a big
you can
answer.
pick one element if you want.
Well, when I was choosing my, let's say, 30th anniversary kit, I chose a 20-inch bass drum, and the reason that I chose that to start with is just because of the versatility of it. Because of, I'm playing jazz gigs, where an 18-inch bass drum might be perfect, and then I'm playing more rock and fusion gigs where a 22-inch bass drum might be good. And then the 20-inch, in a way, seemed to be the compromise that it made that kit very versatile, so I could use it in a lot of situations. So that's a main consideration, is what size bass drum to start with, and it has to do with how wide of a spectrum of dynamics and concepts are you going to be playing with. So since my spectrum was really wide, that's why the 20 worked best for me. So anyway, there's just like some idea where to start, just bass drum size, depending on your range of dynamics and what it is that you're going to be doing.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, Steve, thanks so much for taking time out here at the NAMM Show. And we'll talk soon. I want to see you when you come through Vegas with Journey, and hopefully with one of your other gigs that you're doing too. Okay, great. We'll definitely be in touch in the meantime.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks. Thanks for watching, everybody.